Hey everybody, welcome back to the Center Lane, a political discussion for those of us in the middle who just want our politicians to get along. Right, left, center. I like center. How about you? Okay, let's talk about President Trump's first 10 days. I held back on commenting about his first couple days and all because everybody gets excited, the executive orders and all this stuff, and there's a lot of stuff flying around, and it's a lot to unpack, and we need a lot longer video than I'm prepared to do right now. But bottom line is, just remember about executive orders. Yes, there was a lot of shock and awe. Yes, some of those things are pretty disturbing, and we'll talk a little bit more about it, some couple of them here in a moment. But just also remember, an executive order is, first off, you have to have money. Congress has the purse strings. That's why our forefathers were very smart to do that, because you can say whatever you want, but if there's not money there to make it happen, then you have to go through that process of getting some of these things funded. Secondly, we do have a Supreme Court, and a lot of these things will be court challenged, which again seems like a bit of a waste of time when we go through this process, because some things he did are just completely unconstitutional and they're not going to pass the muster. Like, for example, birthright citizenship. If you're born here in this country, you're an automatic citizen. That's an amendment. No executive order is going to get rid of that without Congress's help. So that's a whole process. As we know, Congress moves very, very slow. So it's kind of nice in a way to see some little shock and all, because, it kind of wakes everybody up and see to what's happening. And I think that's kind of in a way a good thing. And some of the things I think that he proclaimed or wants to get done are fairly positive for all of us. But, some of the other things are just meant to get everybody excited or, upset the left and invigorate his base and that type of thing. And those are promises he made, and he won the election. He won, so to the winner goes the spoils, to a degree. And that's where our forefathers have really done a great job of making sure that we don't have a king or a monarch or a dictator. It's very tough to pull that one off. So thank you again, forefathers of 250 years ago, for having the foresight, because they lived under a king. These guys, they know they don't want to do that again, right? Neither do we. Okay, so let's just talk about a couple of those executive orders. One, of course, is the immigration. He's the deportation. He's making a big deal. He made this huge deal with Colombia about them not taking us, and he threatened them with tariffs and back and forth. And first off, you got to remember, the people that he sent there have already been detained for the past 7 months. They've gone through the process, and now they're being sent back home. So it wasn't like he just rounded them all up and sent them off on a plane. What upset Colombia was it was on a military plane, and they had them come, some of the people in handcuffs. Some of the people were criminals. So thank you for that. Well, and some of them weren't. But whatever the case may be, those people had already been processed and were going home anyways. Trump likes to go big and grand. Look what I'm doing. But honestly, that was from 7 months ago. So, when those people were actually arrested. So, we have process in place. It's very slow moving, too slow moving. And again, I think if you're getting criminals out of here, hell yes, everybody. I think there's not too many people who would disagree with that. But you have to be careful what you consider a criminal, to a degree too, because we start deporting everybody, and we're going to have our fruits and vegetables are going to be rotting in the fields, and half these homes won't get built, because if we got rid of every illegal here, believe me, careful what you wish for, guys, because it's going to really hurt us. It's going to hurt us bad. So again, I've said this before, but if Congress would do their job and make a clearer path for people to come here and work legally and figure this out, because we need the help, we wouldn't have these ongoing problem. So, and this could go on. We could talk about this forever and ever. If you don't want people coming across the border, with no, means and whatever, or if they're criminals, of course. So, if you're trying to unpack the whole thing, is this at least getting a conversation going back about what we need to be talking about, is making this immigration thing work for America? Because at the end of the day, we're all immigrants here, right? 250 years ago, I know my family came here around the 1920s on both sides, my mom and my dad. So what was that, 100 years ago, a little more than 100 years? So most of us came from another country. Not most of us, unless we're an indigenous, we all came from another country. So keep that in mind. Another thing too, he did the pardons thing, and so did Biden. I'm not just going to pick on Trump here. Biden let, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was a activist for indigenous people in 1975. He killed 2 FBI agents. So he murdered 2 people. And I wish I could remember his name, but you probably heard about it. And Biden pardoned him. Well, he's been in prison for 50 years. Yes, that's true. That's a long time. I get it. But he killed 2 people. And they were FBI agents on top of it. But he killed 2 people, period. I don't think you should ever get out of jail if you do something like that. I mean, that's the way I feel about it. So Biden is guilty, not as guilty as maybe some other presidents, because they've all used this pardon power, which we got to revisit that too. But as far as Trump goes, letting go the rioters from 2020, some of those people, okay, fine, they did a little bit of time and they weren't major players in this, but some of these guys were really bad actors. You know, they're really bad people. And give you an example: Stuart Rhodes, the head of the Oath Keepers. Why would you pardon him? Listen, first off, Trump, if you don't know this, he ain't no fan of yours either. He's an anarchist. His plan was to burn down the government, period. He's one of those guys like on Ruby Ridge. If you want to look more into him, Stuart Rhodes, and he's the head of the Oath Keepers. He's an ex-lawyer. He got disbarred. His daughters put out, I think they put out a book or a periodical about the way he raised his family. I mean, he's a lunatic. So he ain't no friend of Trump. He's not a MAGA guy. He's not. So I'm not really sure why they let him go. And I just think Trump got a little carried away with the pardons there a little bit. And that's one guy he needs to revisit. The other guy from the Proud Boys, here's the thing about the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers. They become really, really more irrelevant over the years, even over the past 4 years. They want to get their names back out there and get their brand going again, but they're almost like yesterday's news, and people are, they're just kind of past that kind of crap, I hope. I mean, don't forget, in the 30s, there was enough Ku Klux Klan members to fill Shea Stadium. They used to have rallies there in the 30s, Nazis and Ku Klux Klan, huge rally. And those kind of things, as we evolve as a country, start to put that behind us, because it's not good for our country, obviously, and for the things that we're trying to accomplish here as a nation. So they're going to try to stay relevant. He's already, I'm going to Washington, I'm doing this, and I'm going to get on some TV shows, and he'll probably get a couple things, but I don't think that he's going to have the powder that he had in 2000, even in 2020. So that's good, because these people wear out their welcomes, and he's one of them, though. So that's one guy we don't really need to spend any more time talking about, honestly. And just one more thing I want to talk about with Trump too is the tariffs. I mean, he's used them as leverage. I get that, but here's the thing. For example, going back to Colombia, you threaten them with tariffs, 25% tariffs, and if they didn't take their people back, and honestly, they had been taking their people back. It isn't like the way you did it, and whatever. They're having a little, I won't use the phrase pissing contest between the president of Colombia and Trump. But we got to be really careful about this kind of stuff too, because China is just there waiting. So, you don't want to do business with them, do business with us. And trust me, South America is already there. Central America is still pretty much, with Mexico, Canada, and us, they're kind of like a satellite of us, and for lack of a better term, the Caribbean, all that. But South America, China has been making huge inroads there. And that's going to continue, if we continue to, try to embarrass and rub these people's face in the dirt when we have a disagreement. This should be done quietly behind the scenes. That whole thing didn't need to be on TV. What happened there, way it went down, that's just one more point for China. And speaking of China, we really need to be focusing on that, as far as our foreign policy. I know we're looking at the Middle East, and we're looking now at Central America or South America and tariffs and all this stuff. But quietly, China it's pretty disturbing. We're kind of heading, I hate to say this, because I don't like to think that we're going to walk into wars, but there's a real possibility. They are, for example, Taiwan is getting to be a real hot issue, and they're getting more and more bold about it. Also, their technology, they have come up with technology that can literally on the battlefield wipe out the software of our military hardware. For example, planes coming overhead, they've developed this microwave type machine of some sort. You can research it. And if it knocks out your computer on a jet fighter, you're in trouble, man, So we need to really, I don't know how much behind the scenes we're focusing on that, but we got to put up more deterrence, and we have to have a plan. They're not our friends, it's good to get along with them. We're good trade partners and stuff, I guess, sort of, but we're trade partners because we need each other, not because we like each other. So that's something that we need to, as a country, and I'm hoping that, I'm really glad that Rubio is the Secretary of State, but he's one guy that's really very much aware of what's going on. I think Trump doesn't put the time in a lot of things, honestly. He just doesn't, he doesn't focus like he needs to. But that's some. We got a Secretary of State who's very, very dialed into China and the problems we have with them, and hopefully some deterrence. I mean, it's things are changing. Well, even look what happened with the AI, with their new, what's it called, Swift Stake or something. Whatever they came up with, a much cheaper version of AI when we're putting in billions of dollars and they're making it with millions. Technology is the name of the game right now going forward for everybody on this planet. So we need to have some kind of a game plan, a strategy, and it's great if we can get along. That'd be wonderful. So anyways, we could go on and talk for more, but it's such a beautiful day. I'm gonna let you guys go. I really appreciate it. Hope to talk to you soon, and have a great day.